Hey everybody, this is Ty. I'm getting an overwhelming response to these masks, so I'm going to go ahead and make a video tutorial. Just want to give a shout out to Beth. Thank you so much for allowing me to share your design. Your PDF will be listed at the bottom of this video. The masks are curved, kind of like the N95s that I wear at the hospital. They are definitely not as effective, but they are completely washable and will protect better than a bandana. So please use to your discretion. Okay, so I went ahead and printed out Beth's PDF file, and you want to make sure first that you measure your 2 inches test print box to make sure it's actually 2 inches. After that, you're going to cut it out, and what you need for this is you're going to need to cut out 2 pieces of fabric that's going to go in the front. So this is the design that you're going to want, and I figured it to make it easier to cut. Instead of cutting 2 separate pieces, I just put the fabrics right side together, and then I just put this on top, used a pen or whatever you have available in the house to outline it, and then I cut it out, and that way I just saved myself from cutting it twice. But you know, you have 2 pieces that will be complementary to each other, making sure that the print is on the same side and the same layout. After that, you're going to also need to cut out the same pattern, so you're using the same pattern for everything. The same pattern, but this is going to be lining the inside of the mask. And let me show what I'm talking about. So this is going to be on the outside, and this pattern is going to be lining the inside of the mask. And you're going to pretty much cut everything the same size, okay? Now, most importantly, I just picked a really thick fabric, and this is something that I had laying around. This is similar to the fabric that they use in hotel rooms to line the beds, to make sure it's protected from moisture. But anything that you find that is really thick, or you know, this link that I found was using a HEPA filter, which you're not going to find nowadays, so I'm just kind of making do with what I have. But I feel like this is a little bit better than just using 4 plies of fabric. As you can see how flimsy that is. So that's what I'm using. Use whatever you feel necessary. Okay, so you're going to take your 2 pieces of liner fabric and the 2 fabrics that's going to go on the front, and you're going to put the fabric so that the front side is going to be facing you. After that, you're going to just sew around the whole edge. It should be a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch, because the rest of your stitches that is going to hold the mask together is going to be 1/4 of an inch. So you don't want these to show through. And that's what it's going to look like at the end. Okay, so I'm just sewing less than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so now you have 2 pieces that's going to be the front of your mask. What you're going to do is you're going to lay them right side together, and you'll follow Beth's instructions on the PDF, and she'll tell you that this is going to be your first stitch here for putting together the mask. Once you do that, you're going to flip it right side out, and there is an option that she gives you to kind of sew this tack down stitch just to make it lay flat a little bit better. And this one I did without it because I'm trying to get these out as fast as possible and I'm limited in time. But you know, I feel like even without the stitch, it looks really good. So it's okay if you don't do it. And it's a little bit hard to do because, you know, with the fold of the mask like that. But I'm going to show you how to do it with this, because if you want to just do it for yourself, then you can be more meticulous. Okay, so I'm sewing right sides together. And as you can see, as I was saying, I'm kind of sewing right next to the suture, the sewing line, sorry, suture, medical terms here. Sewing lines here that is less than 1/4 of an inch. So when I sew close to that, it's going to be about 1/4 of an inch, and it's going to hide this first sewing line here. All right, so what you're going to do next is you're going to notch where the curve is, because when you flip it inside out, you want to give it some room so that it can actually be flexible enough to give you that bent mask look. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. I cut it about every 1/2 inch or so, and make sure that when you cut it, you're not cutting into the last seam that you made. I'm cutting it close to the first 2 seams that I made. on each piece. So I'm holding the mask right side up. I have flipped the mask right side out. As you can see, the seam is laying inside like that. You're just gonna pick a side to push the seam to. So I'm gonna go ahead and push it. The seam behind me is gonna go that way. It's gonna go to the left. And I'm just gonna put this under my machine. And since the seam is going this way, I'm gonna go ahead and just make a line to tack all of this down in the front. And you're gonna sew it really close to the middle seam, just to make sure that it gets everything tacked down really well. So I'm sewing this with the right side facing up because I really want to see that the suture is going along the line really well. So let's see what it looks like. That looks really good. It's just kind of tacking everything down. So our next step is to sew the inside of the mask, the liner that is going to be touching your face. I just put the mask liners right side together. So this is going to be the side that's touching your face. And then I sewed it, and then we're going to flip it out just like so. And that's, you know, this is kind of going to be what you're looking at as you're putting your mask on. Okay, so you've got both sides now, and you're pretty much going to put it together, right side touching each other. So this is the right side that you're going to be seeing when you're wearing the mask, and this is the side that's going to be touching your face. You put it together, and you can see the seams that's going to be hidden once you flip this mask inside, right side out. So following the directions on the PDF, you're going to sew along the top. This is where the nose would be. And I'm sewing a little bit inside from where my first lines are, so that when you flip it out, you don't see the initial stitch. And then you're also gonna sew the bottom. And notice when I'm sewing, I'm leaving a little bit of space so that I have room to flip my mask right side out. So I've already sewn it, and make sure you do your tack back stitches here so that it doesn't come unraveled. Okay, so you're going to turn your mask, and the easiest way I've found is to just stick your finger in and grabbing one side and working it through to the other side. Just kind of pushing it in with your thumb, like so. And then grabbing it on the other side and just fishing it through. It looks like a hot mess right now, but you'll figure it out. So once you have it flipped right side out, you can kind of see the resemblance of what the mask would look like when it's done. So there it is. This is what you would put towards your face. And this is the front of the mask. And you can see this mask has that tack down stitch in the middle. Sorry, it's kind of fuzzy. But there you go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in here on both sides. And then I'm just going to do the top stitch for the top of the mask. I'm sure you can do the bottom too, but I find the most useful one is this, because this is what people are going to actually see when you wear it. So when you stitch it down, make sure that the liner on the back end is not showing. So I do this first because remember, the sides have to be open so that you can put your elastic in before you really tack that down, okay? So let's do that. Okay, so I have sewn the top stitch across where my nose would be, and then I flipped the mask inward so that we can hide, you know, the ugly parts. You cut out, I cut out based on my measurements of my face and, you know, what I think the general public would be, but, and you can see in Beth's PDF that she said 5 inches, but this one I cut 6.5 because my fold here is a little bit thicker. Hers is a little bit thinner, so her mask goes out a little bit more here, which means she needs a shorter spandex length. But I made my spandex a little bit longer and my mask a little bit shorter, just whatever you think. And I go ahead and pinned it down, and you're just going to go ahead and sew across here to hold the spandex, the elastic down, and make sure you backstitch here several times so it doesn't come undone. Okay, so I went ahead and stitched the sides back stitching several times. The top has already been done, and I went ahead and just stitched the bottom too, just to make it look better and give you guys a final product. So this is how you do it if you want the mask completely done the correct way. Thank you guys for watching my video, and thank you again to Beth for letting me use your design. Thanks to all the healthcare workers in the front line, and a special shout out to all my radiology technologists out there. Please take good care of yourself.